Sophie is turning 21 and I want to build her a box to put all her presents in. This is the beer crate, as I call it. It's the first thing I made in 2022 when I took up woodworking. This box and its very basic design is simple and ideal for any beginner. I have a video on my channel that shows all the different variations, ranging from the simple beer crate to a dog toy box to a welly box, all the way up to a planter. Have a look through my channel and see if you can find it. We start 2 days earlier. At the van centre where my son's collecting his van are 3 giant pallets, and we load those in the back of the payload, and that'll do nicely. The first stage is obviously to break the pallets up, denail them, and then we'll bring the best planks into the workshop, drop them on the workbench. We'll identify which parts of the wood we can use, which parts of the woods we cannot. We'll cut those out as we go along. You'll see that in a minute. And then we'll mark out which bits we're going to lose. We'll cut those out as we go along. I've decided that the beer crate will be 400mm wide and 400mm deep, and I set about cutting 12 identical slats using my 400mm stop block that I clamp to the side of my workbench, my mitre bench. On YouTube, everything seems to go really quick. In my workshop, it tends to work like this, really slow. So here we go then, let's cut 12 slats nice and quick. You'll notice I'm wearing DeWalt Comfort Light aluminium toe cap boots, steel hand gloves, and what you can't see, as I'm also wearing safety glasses and ink defenders. All of these I can be easily sponsored on. All you've got to do, drop me a short message. Right then, what's next? Yes, just lay them out on your workbench in an arty-farty kind of way. Okay, this is where the real work begins. I bring this big metal pole that I found at Marks and Spencer's. It's a lovely straight line and I like to use it as the base. Clamp it to my work desk, means I can put pieces into the corner. Now in the past what I have done, this vertical plank here with my left hand on it, I sometimes screw that to the table, and that gives me a nice strong edge. I want this vertical slat to be the same height as the height of the 3 horizontal slats. So I mark it up with a pencil, take it over to the miter saw, cut its top off. I take the vertical slat over to the table saw and cut it, broadly speaking, in half. What you'll see here, I have some offcuts of quality oak in various different widths, and I use these as a sort of way of measuring. All the way through this, remembering I'm not trying to build a Swiss watch here, and this is not for a paying client, so the quality can be as good or as bad as you want it, really. Trim all 4 bits, which I'll speed up. So as you can see here, 2 are the right length and 2 are not. And what I'm going to do is take them to the miter saw and wedge the pieces of wood in between the blade and a stop block, thus creating a stop block at exactly the right length. So mark the middle, put a line down them so that I can get the screws looking reasonably level. Pre-do all the holes, standard stuff. Biscuit for the dog. And we're just about ready. I put this block back in place, and for some reason I screw it up without using the glue. Could have edited that out, but I quite like making mistakes. You learn from them. Look how hard he's working. Like, he's done a really good job there. Has he realised there's no glue in it? I don't know. On to the second one. I bet he works it out here. Doesn't look like he has. He has worked out, yeah. See how he went to screw that in and then changed his mind. Got to go and get the green spatula. There's the green spatula. Wipe, 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 wipe. On she goes. Check the edges. Screw it in place. Flip it over to the other side. Lovely. That's how you should have done the first one. Undo all the screws. Redo the glue. You need to top that up. Oh hello, it's moving all over the place. Yeah, you see that one moved. So if you're doing this with a lot of beer crates, you probably could come up with some sort of jig or some sort of way of anchoring that in place so it doesn't move. I use this wooden block and this Marks & Spencer's metal frame to get a straight edge. It works for me. I don't make that many that often to warrant a permanent fixture there. Alright, so those are the 2 end pieces, and now we've got to put the sides on. And I've done this in various different ways. This is not the most successful way of doing it. The more successful way is to put the 2 ends down first and then lay them across, build a bridge as it were. I might do another video for that, but this is how I did it for Sophie's crate. Glued and glued, remembered this time. And there's some very long screws going in there. Look at those, like 70. Wow. He must have been short on screws that day. Flip it over and do the other side. See the dog sat there patiently looking at the biscuit barrel. Only time he moves is if we're using the table saw or kicking a load of sawdust everywhere. We move them on then. And then finally add that end bit. Bit of glue. Both sides. And she goes. At this stage you could put a clamp over this to bring it together. Depends on how accurate you want it looking. Okay, so that's the 4 sides done. Now we move on to the base. And I found the easiest way of doing the base is to lay the planks out on your workbench, place the box on top, draw a pencil mark where you're going to cut, take the planks over to the miter saw, cut them to size, put them in. You are always going to come up with a problem that there's not enough to cover the width. So here you can see I've got 3 and I need 3 and a bit. So the 4th one needs to be cut down to size. So off camera there and before the table saw, what I did was measure the width of the base, divide it by 4, and then cut each slat to that measurement. Hey presto, 4 slats that fit in there absolutely perfectly. Final stage is glue and screw these 4 slats into the side. So I've not used a ruler here to measure out and put a pencil line where the screw should go, but like I said earlier, I like the rustic look, I like it looking like it's homemade. It's up to you though, do your own thing. Now that is precision cutting, isn't it? Look how tight that is. And then finally tidy up, ready for the next bit, which will be over at the sanding station. Sounds fun, doesn't it? So I break out the belt sander, I think that's got 40 grit on it, and then I use the orbital sander, which I think has got 80 grit on it. That really ought to be enough, just to get rid of the pencil marks. And then the next stage will be get the router, and and give it a round over edge. And then we're on to my favourite bit, which is making the handholds. That's fun. So this is me using the router to put a cheeky little round over edge on it. Tighten up a few screws. Give it a final little sand with 80 grit paper. Should be lovely. Now I love this next bit so much, I made myself a little jig. Look at that. Made out of some of that good quality oak that we had from the kitchen, that we use as measuring guidelines for the table saw. This sits on top of the beer crate, allows me to measure where the middle is, and has two perfectly drawn circles, which you'll see me pencil in to create where we're going to drill through. Now this is usually not a great deal of fun, one of these hole cutters that always gets jammed up, but cut the two holes through. Always scare yourself when it pops through at the end. And then what's really useful is if you move the box away from the camera, you can join those two with a jigsaw, but you, the punter, don't get to see it. And then we break out a rasper. Give that a good rasping down, quite enjoy that. And then sandpaper on a stick. Oh no, we're going to do the router first. The router. Got a router around the outside of both. Not great, is it? Looks a bit rough and ready at the moment. But we'll put another bit of rasping on it. And a bit of sandpaper on a stick. One of my favourites. Do like a bit of sandpaper on a stick. And that should be good enough as well. And we're nearly done. On to the decorations next. Dude, stop sanding. It'll be paper thin before too long. Right, I printed two A4 sheets with the Sophie 21 that I want, and I've glued this to the side, obviously both sides. Plunge router. All I do here is just go over each of the typed letters, lifting up in between so it's not all joined up. Not too worried about how good it is, it's a rustic beer crate after all. Give it a little rub down with the sandpaper, give it a spray with the air compressor. I use a pen knife to clean it up a little bit. Job's a good one. Next thing is to put some tape around the edges. This will reduce the amount of overspray and reduce the amount of sanding I require, because God knows I've done enough sanding already. Now I'm listening to my favourite Guns N' Roses song here, November Rain, so apologies, because where I've then edited it out, you're getting half a song. Okay, red spray, obviously. Peel off the tape. More sanding. Lovely. Use the air compressor again to blow it through. Thank you, Ben Luke at Bluestone, Blue 6. So I jam the branding iron into the vise, that's ready for later, and get rid of all the sawdust just in case we set a fire on our workbench. Fire up blowtorch. Now, who doesn't like a bit of burning wood, eh? So therapeutic. It brings out the grain. Look at that. It's like colouring in. Very good for the soul, this is. One of my favourite pieces of work. Okay, we're into the final straight now. I heat up the branding iron, get an old plank, and test when the branding iron is warm enough to burn. And then I have this little special jig that means I can make sure the branding iron goes exactly in the spot I want it, nice and straight. And there we are, we're all done. Off to the beauty shots. Now what I'll add in here is some extra photographs of some previous beer crates I've done and a link to a video that hooks them all up together. But as you can see, the box itself is so versatile, you can adapt it for whatever you want. Perfect for a beginner woodworker, perfect for your Christmas presents. Jobs are good and lovely. Hope you enjoyed. See you again.